So, like, you know, just thinking about my previous video, and I thought I should just, like, the euthanasia versus, you know, sanctuary. It's like, I mean, it's all, like, I'm, I'm a promoterist. It's like, it's like the same as, once you're, like, it's, atheism is, it has it has a good standing in terms of, yeah, this needs to get done. We the the reasons given for atheism are very valid, and there's no reason that is given, that is demonstrable, that will, you know make it invalid. So it's like, once you realize that life is the harm, you're you're left with the, there's no other choice, but straight you have to go to promoterism, which is just no, like, and that's the thing, right? The Like, I'm very confident about it, in the sense that if somebody gave me, if I have the power, if the red button, I have the red button that will blow this planet up, I am pressing that button. I'm and because I know logic is on my side, and it's the it's basically like the thought experiment of the red button is basically like the the measure of your confidence to, like, hey, this is what's going on here, and how much are you confident in, like, hey, if I just press this, it ends it all, and it prevents the all the fucking future. Oh fuck, this is, let me, like, how long will it take for you to get rid of your bullshit? And this is the same thing with, you know you have to make people realize that by living every day, you're you're not feeling, your feelings are not worth any, like, in terms of the the negative feelings that are being caused every day, the, you know the animals who you eat, your feelings aren't worth it. Your good feelings aren't worth that. Yes, I'm I'm gonna be consistent, and the the feeling that you have, the, like, this is the, like, what's the counter argument to promoterism? I I all I've ever heard is, I want to live, I want to live, I want to live. There's no, like, there's no there's no logical counter argument. There ain't none. There is no reason, good reason, for this existence, for this mechanism of, you know waste, in forms of suffering, every day, every minute, every hour, every, like, it's unfathomable. You just can't. And what, that's the thing for, it's just, you have to be like, be honest, like, once you really like get this, that hey, it's, we're too stupid, we think that this should go on. And that's the thing, right? The That's the argument, the risks that, you know, the you won't impose, like, you will say that it's wrong to impose life because the risk is not worth, there's no such thing as a reward in the first place. So yeah, so you won't do that. I would say the same will go for your own personal existence. Like, get real. What are we doing here? What is the experience that I had or someone else had in this, you know, today, that is worth the one pig in the slaughterhouse right now? What is the experience that you've had today, or anyone has had today, that is worth just that one pig in the slaughterhouse? So what we won't, like, if we want, and this is one of the things, right, we have to, I've always, you know, thought about it, like, yeah, it's not like, you know, you don't need to hate living, but it's like, the more people are gonna hate living, in the sense, the more they're gonna recognize that hey, living is stupid, continuing to live is stupid, the more likely it is they're gonna have fewer kids, you know, like, oh fuck, don't make another stupid thing in this, you know, who's just gonna end up like, you know, where are they gonna go, like, that's the thing, right? You can't, all you can do is, you can't save a life, you can just prolong it. I really, you know, this statement is like, it gets to the core, and, you know, it's not going to think like the way you think it's going to go. You haven't done it. You haven't, you know, been horribly sick, for example, or, you know, some other debilitating thing that could happen to you. So it's like, the risk is not worth anything here too. It's not worth, there's no reward, because the rewards are just a like, this is what you recognize once you know, sort of wake up from the lies of this, you know, this society, all this bullshit that they've fed in all of us, you know. You have to, like, you know, this shit is just way too expensive. It's just not worth it. My life is not worth it. It's not worth this is like the most, humbling thing that, one could. And I'm being honest, like I'm gonna say this, my life is not worth the the beings that are being harmed by my everyday living. It's not worth it. It's just like, I'm just trying to roll the dice to somehow, make it into something. But like that's the whole thing, the uncertainty of the future and lack of control. Anything could happen here, and that's where you get the truth, right? Anything can happen, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth, you know, dragging some, like, I'm I'm speaking about the victims, and I'm saying no, you are not worth the victims. So unless you can make the next day victimless, completely, completely victimless, which you can't, which it just won't happen. You're you're the oxygen you breathe is like you is has a whole it's a system which is creating suffering in the biosphere. All the dead animals, all the, you know the animals suffering of thirst and hunger and, fear and deprived, and it's so fucked up. And just because we human beings think that, yeah, as long as we are not in a deprived state, our deprivations are relieved every now and then, you know somehow it's worth it that we continue to live. No, it's not worth it. And I'm gonna say it. It's like, fuck you. It's no. Why do you want to live for more? Why? It's so stupid. Let's say every I press a button and every being is sterilized now. You're sterilized now. Why do you need to live more? I mean, it's just an addiction. Come on. It's just, or like you have a sense of fear of dying. So, and I can understand that, because the biology is strong, you know because our ancestors were fucking, like, yeah, they were yeah, we have to live and reproduce. That's why we're here, right? It's a bullshit mechanism. So yeah, that's the thing. You won't go anywhere. You won't go anywhere. It was all just a lie sold to you. Doesn't work out. I mean, the and you can only even the things that work out, they only work out because they didn't like you got lucky, or you you didn't get too unlucky, you know. Oh, okay. I'm safe. I'm safe that I'm not in I'm not being chased by a fucking predator right now, who's chasing me with speed and has claws and fuck. I don't want to be that. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, oh, this is better. But that's what this is the thing, right? If you press a button and there are two beings, one is in this state and the other is in being chased by the predator. Why the fuck would you press the button? So, in the same way, why the fuck would you press the button for tomorrow? Why? Why do you need to do it tomorrow? This whole shit that you've been doing for every day, which is like, the reality is you're just an animal who has a psychology, and it's influenced by your indoctrination. Like, it's all just religion. Most of it's all just religion. They just indoctrinate you in this bullshit of I'm worth it. Human beings. I'm a human being. Or I'm a living being. I'm a sentient being. I mean, the only worth is of your feelings, and the real worth is the negative feelings. And if you can't make tomorrow, like, if you can't make tomorrow with like zero negative feelings tomorrow for your positive feelings that you have every day, if you can't make that, you have no right to impose that. And I mean, I can make this argument. Why? Like, your addiction is worth it? No, it's not. Your addiction is not worth the cost. Your addiction to taste, to your pleasures, is not worth the suffering that the other beings are experiencing. It's not worth one of them, yet alone. It's like, fuck, preposterous. So what are we doing? And that's the whole thing, right? It's not like we have a lot of time, or we have some, This is the thing. When you say it's as soon as, like, we should cease to exist sooner rather than later, it's basically like just being confident and recognizing the fact that we don't have control. Like, to be, and this is the thing, they've sold you that as well. Like, oh, somehow It'll all work out. It will, all the movies, all the memes, everything, right? Every, like, you know, you'll find someone, you'll this, you'll that. It's just going to, it's just, if you like to pretend, then I don't know. If you like to pretend that none of the suffering is important and my pleasure is worth it, if you like to, I just don't, I can't even, like, understand how I would make, it's so hard for me to pretend. And I do pretend in my day to day, like, it's fucked up. But you're forced, and that's the thing. I'm being forced, sort of, to live. And this is one of the, another thing that I was thinking about is not just impose on other beings by, that's right. That's like the, what's obvious. Like, you will create suffering by doing your shit tomorrow, living tomorrow. So that's obvious. But you should also recognize that, hey, do you want to, like, I don't want to see I just hate the idea of, me being tortured. No, I don't want that. And I don't know, me breaking my leg, nah, fuck that. Me getting paralyzed, fuck that. Don't impose it on yourself, like, as a self-respect. Don't impose this risk on yourself. Come on. Let's get out. It's just an addiction. Addiction is not a good thing. But we're still, we're still addicted to it. And it's like, I can, feel the addictions, the desires, like, the need to relief. Yeah, that's a desire, right? Like, this is another thing, right? What's the, like, the best feelings that I've had are, like, right before I'm going to sleep, like, right before I'm, getting unconscious. Best. That's the best, because everything is loose and, it's bliss. And when you wake up, you're like, oh fuck, here we go again. Here we go again with this nonsense. This everyday bullshit. And then some people are like, yeah, but we're happy because we don't have to do this. Our parents made money for us, or, some other horse shit. No, it's exploitation. And I'm not even talking, like, it's not like I'm talking about the animals, in the sense the the main argument is, hey, the animals are being tortured for your stupidity, but I am also being, tortured. But for your happy life, we have to, some other people have to sacrifice their time by working, for you to live in your easy lives. So it's fucked up. It's all like it's in your best interest as well, because the next life you're going to be one of the, like it's like this is, I I heard in Mendham saying this once. This was a good analogy. It's like the slave owners realizing that, hey, the next time I can be born on that side, you know, and I could be getting whipped, and it's bad. It's There's no difference. If I get whipped, hey, if this is getting whipped or that is getting whipped, there's just no difference. So once you recognize that, you're gonna say, ah, fuck, end this slavery. And that's all what I'm what I argue for is just end this slavery to this DNA molecules. Let's let's just get this thing done, because that's all what we can do here. Like this is there's no other win here. The only win is prevention, if we prevent it all. Once you prevent it by extincting it, you win. And you the same argument, you prevent your own suffering of your future version of you by extincting you, extincting yourself now, not waking up. You win. And obviously it's the same for the animals, and of course they're not smart in the sense, I they're not in they're not capable of having these conversations and coming to these conclusions. I mean, come on. Yes, they have the feelings, they have, and they're meaningful, but it's like people say that, oh, but we can't make the decision for the animals. Then nature should make them. What is the or other alternative? Just let it be. Let nature do its stupidity every day of creating this, like, it's a fucking dumb fucking process of replication, of copies. Like, let's look at the reality of it. It's just a fucking replicating molecule, and you're a byproduct of it. And all of these animals are a byproduct of it, and that's the reality. We're not, there's nothing special about any one of us to, in the crudest sense. We're just beings who have needs, and we chase comfort. That's that's what's the important one. And that's it. We can come to this conclusion, and we have to make this decision for the animals. And I am saying the best decision for the animal, for the individual animal, is getting euthanized. Like, if, like, I mean, this, I'll be consistent with this one too, like, even if you can say, oh, but I won't send it to a sanctuary, but I'll keep it as a pet. I mean, I'm saying even you shouldn't think about continuing to exist, but you're making more liabilities, more responsibilities, and you're presuming that you'll win tomorrow, and you're denying the logic that hey, the animal wins if it gets euthanized. Because I can't even say that I'll be alive tomorrow. So how can I make the decision for the animal? So even like, and then there's this thing like, oh, I have an attachment to my pet and I can feel that, and you know. But it's again, how much confident are you? And if I have the power to off an animal like it just, if I have the animal in my hand and just peacefully I can give it a peaceful sleep. It goes to sleep, and I just be give it a peaceful, pet, and through that pet it just, the brains, like, the last moment the animal felt was a really nice, pleasurable pet, and it gets, the brain touch switches off. I'm doing that, and but the thing is I can't do that because you know human beings are not rational, they're not logical, and they think that you know their their feelings are worth the imposition of and risk of suffering to, and inevitable suffering to the beings, the companions on this planet, who are playing the same game in their heads, essentially, of want comfort. I want comfort. And it's like this, right? It's in the sense that I'm there's a social construct and you have to abide by it, and blah 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 blah. But let's just make it into a different thought experiment. If you if like some I think I've heard this one before, like, if the aliens, like, if there's some aliens out there, you know who understand all of this, and but they're like, no, we have to choose one of the most reasonable of the earthling to make this decision. We won't, like, impose this decision on them. We'll have to choose some earthling, the most reasonable earthling, and let's say they're rational, and they choose an atheist, like, you know this, like, the person who has the who can understand that when they're presented with this power, of ending this blight, ending exterminating the bugs on this planet as peacefully as you can. When they're given this power, what will be their decision? And that's the crux of it. My decision would be, yeah, blow it up, euthanize the animal. That's the thing. And again, it's like, it's I put a difference between the intent and the action, but there's because the intent is going to have a consequence, and that's going to influence some other being to some other asshole to just go out and kill stuff for no good reason. But you know if it's a rational argument, a rational understanding of reality, then it's like you have to, if there's no counter argument, like this is the thing, right? How do how do rational people interact is you take a theory and you like see how, oh, it's based on evidence, and then you try to find counter points, and you try to find evidence that tries to counter argue the evidence provided by the initial theory. And if you can't do that, then you have to accept it if you are being honest and you're being a rational, reasonable human being. And if you just like the argument against pro-mortalism is, I want to live, and all I'm hearing is, I want to eat meat, I want to impose life, I want to impose life on my tomorrow. And I want to impose, more importantly, I want to impose suffering on these other beings and get my share of energy out of the earth so that I can, what? Fuck tomorrow? What? For what? What's the reason? Just, what are you doing here? Nothing. Just doing the same shit. Eat and shit. That's it. And why do you want to do it tomorrow? And day after tomorrow? And next year? Why? It's just a delusion. Snap out of it. Wake up.